The showdown between the Bucs and the Texans came down to the wire last night, with his team trailing by 5 and just over 2 minutes on the clock. Baker Mayfield led an 11-play, 80-yard drive to score a touchdown and win the game 20-19. Tampa Bay moves to 2-0 on the season, while the Texans are still searching for their very first win. After 2 clutch wins, the Bucs are the first team since the merger to score a game-winning touchdown in the final 60 seconds of regulation in each of their first 2 games. It's their 5th straight 2-0 start, extending their longest streak in franchise history, and it's also the longest active streak in the National Football League. Swagu, let's get right to it. Can the Bucs win the NFC with Baker Mayfield?
They absolutely can. First of all, Baker Mayfield last night in a 2-minute drill, and you know this, CC, these games come down to this, especially when we start talking about the playoffs. They come down to those drives right there. Those games are decided by that. Now, the Bucs got a lot to fix, obviously. They 2-0 though, and I would love to be fixing them from 2-0 as opposed to 1-1 and 0-2. And as we saw the other night, the Falcons may be a problem as this season goes along. So that win means more to me week 1 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than it did after watching them destroy, the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, listen, man, everybody knows when Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, I was his harshest critic.
I don't think so.
Well, one of them.
Because I thought he had more progressive commercials than we.
Yeah,
so I think that was me. All right, well, go ahead.
And it was obviously that was Cleveland, and we know what has transpired since then in Cleveland. So I've apologized to Baker for that, but I also think he learned a lot about himself by almost being out of this conversation for being a starter in this league and being where he is today. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Todd Bowles and the way that they play defense and the opportunities that he's going to create, whether with his legs or the weapons he has on the outside, can be real contenders in the NFC based on what I've seen these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, they can be real contenders if they can get to the finish line healthy.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue with them. I mean, Tristan Wirfs was out, Chris Godwin was out going into last night's game. They lost their right tackle, Gedeke. Emeka Egbuka got banged up in that game. Rashad White got banged up in that game. Chris Canty got banged up in that game. And you just wonder whether or not attrition is going to take its toll. But at its best, when they're fully healthy, this is going to be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. They might have the best receiving core in the NFL.
Evans, Egbuka.
Yeah, Evans, Egbuka, and Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
I call Egbuka Baker's sous chef.
Yes.
Because that dude out there is
100%.
a bona fide monster.
Right.
Okay, and that offensive line has shown the ability to be able to provide some balance by running the football, and that defense stepped up and made plays when they needed to last night. So they absolutely can. But when I start looking at the NFC as a whole, I got a bank full of respect for the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning defending champs. You're going to have to contend with the Green Bay Packers, who look like the best team in football right now.
The Commanders.
And you can't
or the Rams.
I was going to say the Rams. The Rams, if Matt Stafford's back holds up, I have more confidence in them winning the conference than the Tampa Bay Bucs. The one thing the Bucs have going in their favor that those other teams don't is that they play in the NFC South. And that is a 2-team race at this point in the season. I am ready to summarily dismiss the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. They will be non-factors in terms of who wins the NFC South. It's going to come down to the Bucs and the Falcons. And in the first year, with Penix being the full-time starter, how could you not give the benefit of the doubt to the Bucs?
That's fair. No doubt about it. A couple of things come to my mind based off of last night's game. Number one, let's not forget that Tampa, the Texans are considered to have the worst offensive line in football at this particular moment in time. So let's not forget that. You're going up against a Todd Bowles defense, for crying out loud. I know he's the head coach, but we all know anything that has something to do with defense, Todd Bowles has his fingerprints on that. So we got to get that out the way. This is what we're not picking up about Baker Mayfield as well. We've been talking about how he's been flinging that football, and deservedly so, because he's got weapons to throw the football to, and he knows how to finish the deal. Game-winning drives, his brother will show up, no doubt about it, and he deserves our praise. You know what else he deserves our praise for? Running the football.
100%.
Think about this. I'm just looking at this right here. This is Baker Mayfield, 3 massive first downs with his legs, a 3rd and 1, a 3rd and 15, a 3rd and 10, but none was bigger than the 4th and 10, 15-yard run on the final drive. This is what he's doing. He's finding a way to beat you any way it takes. And even though we look at today's game and we think about some of the elite passes of the game, the quarterbacks we usually praise are those who are a dual threat. We don't talk about that way with Joe Burrow, but it's certainly applicable to Patrick Mahomes to a lesser degree, certainly Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and to a lesser degree, Jalen Hurts. Well, you look at Baker Mayfield right now, what does he do? He beats you with his legs as well. That's what I'm looking at right now when it comes to him.
It's a great point you brought up. Last night on Monday Night Countdown, Van Pelt asked Troy, we got so caught up in talking about Baker and his moxie and the chip on the shoulder and how he plays that we kind of have put the ability to play the position in the back burner. Some throws that this kid is making, bro, some of these runs that you bring up, these are championship plays. These are not like a regular quarterback. These are high-level franchise quarterback plays, man. The touchdown to Ibuka at the end of the game in the Falcons game, that was over time that developed. Last night, getting those first downs late in the game, a 2-minute drive that was seamless. Chris, you know how hard that is. We done seen veterans poo-poo down their leg in 2-minute drills at times when things seemingly are to go bad. But this is another part that I think you throw into the pot because I killed Baker enough, so I'm going to wax poetic on him. They going to play for him. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes a long way.
This ain't Cleveland. This ain't Carolina.
It goes a long ways, S.A., when you get into these type of games and you have these things stocked already. Remember the final drives in Atlanta. Remember the final drive against the Houston Texans when you get further down the road, that they going to remember that Baker Mayfield showed up in those moments, and he's been doing it since he's gotten to Tampa. I think that's going to matter.
He was sacked 4 times. He was sacked 4 times, but still scrambled when it really counted, and they couldn't catch him. Week 2 was a rough week on the injury front for quarterbacks. Bengals' Joe Burrow is expected to miss at least 3 months after suffering a turf toe injury that requires surgery. Despite the news, the Bengals still have a 64% chance to make the playoffs, according to ESPN analytics. J.J. McCarthy is likely to miss 2 to 4 weeks because of a high ankle sprain he suffered in Sunday night's loss. Carson Wentz, remember that name, is expected to start week 3 versus the Bengals, who will be starting backup Jake Browning in place of Joe Burrow. Jayden Daniels came away from the Commanders' Week 2 loss with a knee sprain and is now in doubt for Sunday's matchup with the Raiders. Backup Marcus Mariota will be in line for the start if Daniels misses time. We've discussed the impact of Burrow's injury yesterday, so Canty, which injury is more concerning, J.J. McCarthy's or Jayden Daniels?
It's J.J. McCarthy. Listen, we got to put this into its proper context. This dude is in his 2nd year in the NFL and has played exactly 1 good quarter of football. He's put on an NFL jersey for 4 games. 2 preseason games, 1 last year, 1 this year, and 2 regular season games this year. And you're talking about this dude missing 17 games last year and now poised to miss an extended period of time now with a high ankle sprain. Yeah. I'm concerned J.J. McCarthy is going to get that label of being injury prone if he can't change his level of availability for his team. And then beyond that, J.J. McCarthy came into the league as a developmental prospect, and Swagu knows this. The best way to get good at football is by playing football. Yeah. And if injuries get in the way of your ability to be available and be out there on the football field, then all of a sudden now we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings organization not being able to take advantage of the window that they've created with this core of players because J.J. McCarthy can't get good enough, fast enough.
I don't think this is a conversation for us to have a big disagreement, but I went with Jayden Daniels, and it's simply because I want him to protect himself a little bit more as a quarterback, especially with what he means to this franchise. CC, we talked about it some last year. Sometimes get out of bounds, big dog. Slide a little bit earlier. These kind of knick-knack injuries are the ones that we are fearful of derailing what he can be in this league. And the way he played last year, thinking that he could one day be in that conversation as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL based on his production. That hit he took against Green Bay in that traffic. I don't want Jayden Daniels taking those hits. I want him to be smarter in those situations. So it's not about if he's going and trying to make a play. It's not about I'm not talking about the playoffs where you got to have a 3rd down. You got to make the play. You got to extend the drive, or you have to get in field goal range. I'm talking about these plays where it just seems that he wants to. First of all, he's slight. He's not a big dude, right? That's number one.
Right.
The second thing is the way that you resurrected this franchise from where it was in your first year. Your availability is more paramount probably to your team than anybody's in the NFL.
I get you, and I don't disagree because, like you said, it's not a huge disagreement here, but I'm going to roll with CeCe on this one in this regard. It has me curious about the Minnesota Vikings organization and Kevin O'Connell specifically. You had a quarterback in Sam Darnold last year, threw 35 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions, over 4,000 yards. You resurrected his career and then let him walk
go
out the door
because
of a dude that was a rookie who was supposed to be a developmental project that was out for the season with a meniscus injury. And you said, yo, this is our future. Really? You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison once he comes back? You understand what I'm saying? I'm just looking at T.J. Hockenson and these boys. You've got all of these weapons, and you relying on this dude who's essentially a rookie because he didn't play his rookie year.
No.
So this is the first time he's playing, and then I'm looking at him, and I've been underwhelmed before the injury. He had a good fourth quarter in the opening game against the Chicago Bears, who after watching them get butt rushed by Detroit, we gotta have a serious discussion about what is Chicago really? As a team, as a defensive unit, what are they really? Are they really something to write home about? So you look at all of those things, and J.J. McCarthy only looked good for one quarter against them, and then looked good at all against Atlanta, and then he's injury prone too?
Yeah.
To me, we just say, Jayden Daniels, just be safe. Just be safe, preserve yourself. With J.J. McCarthy, we're looking at something different. Is he what Kevin O'Connell tried to convince everybody he is?
See, it's phenomenal how the brains work, right? Because I think it's more catastrophic because we know what Jayden Daniels is. I don't like trying to guess. Well, J.J. McCarthy might not be good even if he healthy.
Well, that would be catastrophic for the Minnesota Vikings.
But I get it, Stephen.
Because of the weapons they have around
But
them.
the caveat in Minnesota was you were going to have to pay Sam Darnold a lot of money. So now you pushing J.J. McCarthy getting on the field back even further based off 1 year of how he performed. With Jayden Daniels, let Jayden Daniels get hurt for the season.
Okay.
You don't want Jayden Daniels to be RG3.
Okay.
That too.
You don't want that.
Yes.
You don't want that.
That one scares me,
God bills to pay.
Okay.